Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to part three. I think it's part three of the Vita View. I am Vita. I am your hostess today. I'm so excited because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. I will probably do a couple of videos today because I'm just full. I'm full, and there are just a lot of things I just want to talk about. So, this part three is going to be about Job Corps. Yes, let me see. Let me get my notes because I had some things that I wrote down about what I want to talk about today. Are you familiar with Job Corps? I mean, have you ever been in Job Corps? Do you know someone that has gone through Job Corps? Are you familiar with Job Corps? Right? I wasn't as familiar with Job Corps because it didn't really impact me. I didn't have a need for Job Corps. As a matter of fact, a while ago, um, I was probably in my 20s, and somebody mentioned Job Corps, and I'm just gonna let y'all know how crazy it was at the time that Peace Corps and Job Corps I thought were the same or connected or had something to do with each other back in the day. Now I'm not in my 20s anymore. I don't look like what I've been through, but I'm not in my 20s anymore. But I that's what I used to think. But as time went on, I realized and I learned that Job Corps is not the same as Peace Corps. Well, Job Corps is a program that allows young people between the ages of 16 and 24 who may come from a disadvantaged background, who may have had some troubles in school, who may have been got off on the wrong foot, on the wrong track, and they decided, or maybe not decided, or was given an opportunity to get their life back on track by going into Job Corps. So, I'm trying to find my little notes here that I wrote down some things. It might not be this notebook, but um, that's okay. That's all right. I'm going to keep on going anyway. But it helped young people get an education, get some skills, vocational skills of sorts, communication skills, interpersonal skills. And it was a residential program, so it also provided housing and health care for young people who were struggling. So I wasn't impacted by Job Corps because although I grew up, in low income housing, my mama didn't play. So she was all about that education. You couldn't bring anything less than a C home. And, my mom took care of us. She went to work. We had a roof over our heads. We weren't disadvantaged in any way. And so I didn't have to take advantage of Job Corps. But that's not the case for every child. Some children, especially children in foster care, we don't think about that. I wasn't a child of foster care, so I didn't think about that. I didn't know too much about Job Corps. But children in foster care, runaways, unhoused children, children whose parents may have suffered from a setback where they couldn't take care of their children, economically, or they may have lost a job, and their 16, 17, 18-year-old child wasn't a baby anymore, and was trying to help make ends meet, and may have gotten into some trouble, and Job Corps was a rescue for them. But now it's gone. The Department of Labor um, cutbacks cut Job Corps. Now, if you think about it, the people making the decision to cut Job Corps were never needed Job Corps. I'll say that. The people that made the decision to cut Job Corps funds, federal funds, never experienced the need for Job Corps. Who needs Job Corps? Low socioeconomic, poverty-stricken, disadvantaged, at-risk youth who struggled academically, who may have got kicked out of school, who may have suffered, may not have been able to manage their own emotions and may have lashed out, become angry, may have done something that caused them to be removed from the mainstream classroom. Children whose parents, like I said, may have suffered from mental illness and weren't able to take care of them. They may have had trouble past these young adults, 16, 17, 18 through 24, may have not had the support that they needed. So Job Corps was a way for them to benefit from an opportunity to get an education, to have a place to live, to gain skills that would in some way allow them to be integrated into society. But now it's gone. This is an attack on our children, on our youth, on our communities. You see, Job Corps, the demographics of Job Corps, the majority of the young people in Job Corps are children of color or young people of color, Black, brown. There may be a few underprivileged white children or white young people in Job Corps, but the majority of the population of the demographic of Black and brown young people. And if you know, and I've shared this before as a speaker, as the founder of Building Brighter Kids, with a focus on Black children and children of color, you know that I've talked about the frontal lobe development. The frontal lobe doesn't fully develop until you're about 24, 16 to 24. And that frontal lobe is the part of the brain that helps with decision making. So adolescent age, to about 21, 22, 23, they make a lot of impulsive decisions. And sometimes those decisions, which are emotionally charged, are decisions that will cause them to be, to have a setback or to get in trouble in school or to get in trouble with the law and be put into a detention center or something, or run away from home. That frontal lobe isn't developed. So a lot of the decisions that these young people have made that have impacted their futures, Job Corps was a way to help get them back on track, but now it's gone. And who is most impacted by the loss of Job Corps? Black youth, brown youth, poor, under privileged young people. And what does that then do if they don't have a place to live? Now, in Florida, being unhoused is now a crime. You can't, it's a crime now. We used to be able to feed the unhoused. We have a hard time doing that now. They're being arrested. They're being thrown in jail. So it's a lot going on down here where I live with the unhoused. So if you're unhoused, a young person's unhoused, they don't have health care, they don't have an education, they don't have a skill set to generate income. What do you think they're going to do? You got to eat. Most frontal lobe development isn't there, so you're not making good decisions on how can I make money, how can I generate money, by what legal way can I generate money. No, it's I need to eat, I'm hungry, so I'm either going to go out here and beg, borrow, steal. I'm going to do something to take care of my needs. And then what happens? They get caught. They get caught stealing, they get caught panhandling, they rob somebody, they get caught, and then they get it. Then what happens? They go into the judicial system, and then they go to jail. Slavery. Remember, the 13th Amendment only abolished slavery for everything else. It abolished slavery for everything else except for one thing: criminals. That's still in the 13th Amendment. So slavery is abolished except in the case of criminal behavior. So now we have no resources. Job Corps is gone. Black and brown children mostly. Now they have, and I saw. I'm sorry. I get excited. I saw a video, not a video, an interview with a young lady. Job Corps. They just told them they were shutting down. It was supposed to be June 30th, but then they went back and they shut it down June 2nd. Today is June 9th. They shut it down a week ago with no place to go. This young lady said, I have no family. I have no friend. I have no place to go. And the interviewer reporter was like, well, you don't have any, you don't have any other resource. You don't have, and the young lady told you already she didn't have any more resources. She didn't have any family, nobody to take her in, nobody to support her. So then what happens when you're unhoused, you're unfed, you're uneducated, you're underprivileged, you're everything? You get caught up in the judicial system, and now you're a criminal, and it depends on how they charge you or what they charge you with and what they convict you of. And the way this stuff is all working out, you got felonious behavior somewhere interwoven in this, and now you're a felon, and now you got that stamp on your record. So even if you get out, you're a felon. All of your rights have been stripped. So then what happens? You do something else and you go back to jail. And all of this labor that needs to be done, but we have rounded up, ICE has rounded up immigrants and have sent them away. Now they're taking imprisoned people, enslaved, to do the work free of charge. Rebranded. Slavery rebranded. Job Corps gone. So the Department of Labor Secretary, whatever her name is, Lori Chavez, something, I can't remember her name, but they're cutting these things in order to provide tax cuts for billionaires. But I'm not going to even go there. That's not even what this video is about. That's not what this episode is about. I just want to talk about the young people. As the founder of Building Brighter Kids with a focus on building Blacker kids, our children are being attacked. And if we take it even back a little bit more, before Job Corps, because Job Corps is 16 to 24. So you can say, oh, they're almost adults. They're adults. Hey, they got to fend for themselves. Okay. So let's go back before 16. What's happening in the educational system? Children are being labeled and marked, and tests are being written in a biased way. They're cutting out history, and that's another video. I'll come back and do that too. We're going to talk about how whitewashing our history is impacting the learning and the aspirations and the goals of our children. We're going to talk about that on another episode. But all of this prior to needing Job Corps, the educational system has been set up so that they need Job Corps. So now Black and brown children are being suspended and expelled at a higher rate than their white counterparts. So now you're getting put out of school. So now you're missing education. And when you miss education, that sets you further back. And then when you set further back and you go back into the classroom, and then you're behind, and then And then they move you up because they don't retain you anymore. Then they move you up to the next grade, and then you still don't have the skills from before. And now those skills that you don't have from before, you need them now, and you don't have them now. So what do? You act out, and then you get in trouble. You get put out again, and then you get expelled, you get suspended, and you get put out, and then you go out, and then you don't have an education, then you're out of school, and then you come back to school, and then they put you forward to the next grade, and then you don't have the skills that you needed from the last grade. So now you're in the class, and you can't read it, you can't do math, and you don't understand. And then what happens? You act out, and when you act out, they put you out, and then they put you out, and you lose education. You come back, and they move you forward again. You see what's happening, don't you? So our children are being attacked. Our Black children are being attacked. What do we do about that? Because then it leads up to, I need some assistance. I need some support. I need some federal funding, which isn't there now. And then we spiral down, get in trouble, go into the judicial system, slavery rebranded. So what do we do about it? Let me calm myself down because I done got worked up. It's time for us to come into alignment with the truth of who we are as a people, who we come from and what we come from. And not post-slavery, even before, who we were, who we are, who we come from, and understanding who we are as a people and teaching our children that as well. It's time for us to wean ourselves off of the systems. We've been suckling on the system to support us where the system wasn't even designed to help us. So our educational system, I'm going to go there. It's time for us to bring books into our homes, history into our homes, love of self into our homes, to teach our children who they are, whose they are, what they know, what they can do, what they're designed and created to do. So yeah, while we might be sending them to school, we're not relying on school as their sole or primary education. We got to pull it back into home. We got to pull it back into our villages. We need to not depend so much on the system to give us our identification, our identity, to give us our marching orders. The time is now to gather our children under our wings. Each one, reach one, and teach one. Let go of always being on our phones and being consumers of information. Yes, technology is necessary. Yes, AI is wild on the scene right now. Yes, absolutely. Learn the next level of technology and understand how it works. But don't be consuming, scrolling and scrolling. Sit with our children. Tell them stories of their history, of their spirituality, of their justice, so that when they're in the system, they're not of the system. Because the system, the educational system, has been designed to dumb us down. And that's another video too. I don't want to keep this too long. But Job Corps is gone. And there are young people between 16 and 24 who don't have any more resources, and that was their last straw or their last option, to make a life for themselves. So now they're shuffling and they're trying to figure out a way to fend for themselves. So be mindful, pay attention, teach your children well who they are, whose they are, who they came from, where they came from, so that they will grow up to be unapologetic in their identity, in their image, in their intellect, and in their inherent God-given gifts. That's what building brighter, Blacker kids is all about. Thank you for joining me on part 3 of the Vita View. I am Vita, and I absolutely love sharing my viewpoint with you. Have a super fantastic day, and share this, subscribe, all the things that you do on YouTube's on YouTube. And thank you so much. God bless you. I love you.